Hi and welcome to my completed pages video for October 2025. If you're new to this channel, hi, my name is Ina. If not, welcome back. In October, I completed a total of 14 pages across 9 different books. That's above my average. Okay, let me set these books aside quickly and then we'll get started. The first book I'm starting with is Die Magie der Natur or Nature's Magic by Stratton Peterson. In this book, I did a body color with Selena Moonlight from Instagram. On the page, Healing Infusion. I colored the page using Castle Art soft touch pencils and used soft pastels for the background. Unfortunately, it's not that easy to see in the video, but the background is a blend of yellow and light green tones. I also used the white gel pen for the highlights on the butterflies and on the water droplets. I'll now show you Selena's page. I really like how she outlined the petals of the middle flower in white, which make the flower looks really delicate. Otherwise, our pages turned out to be quite similar, which isn't surprising given that the other page lists the name and appearances of the flowers and butterflies. It was a lot of fun coloring this page. Thank you, Selena, for suggesting we color this page together. Okay, that was Nature's Magic by Stratton Peterson. Next up is my personal project book Ivy and the Inky Butterfly or Ivy und der magische Schmetterling by Joanna Basford. The next page I worked on is this double page spread, where the butterfly from the story comes to life, flies out of his frame, knocks up a cup of quills, and dips its wings into the inkwell, splattering black ink around. For this double page, I used the Castle Art soft touch pencils. For the frame, I used Castle Art's metallic pencils, like on the previous page. For the background, I applied light purple soft pastels. And I added all the small details in gold using a Pentel Hybrid gel pen. For the white highlights on the ink splatters, I used the white gel pen from Sakura. Unfortunately, while fixing the soft pastels, the pink from the colored pencils bleed through a bit. And also on this page. But that's a learning moment. I'll try to remember to fix the page beforehand when using pink colored pencils and soft pastels in the future. Perhaps I also just used a bit too much of the fixative. Okay, that was Ivy and the Inky Butterfly by Joanna Basford. Moving on to another book by Stratton Peterson, Geheimnisvolle Krafttiere or Mystic Animals. In this book, I colored the heron, which is part of my 25 pages in 2025 challenge. I started the page with a watercolor base made from felted pens, and then colored over it with Castle Art's gold pencils. For the frame, I used a Decotime glitter marker, and for the highlight in the eye, I used the white gel pen from Sakura. That was Mystic Animals by Stratton Peterson. Next up we have Magische Meerjungfrauen, translated to Magical Mermaids by Christel Vogel. Here I colored the page titled The Most Beautiful Playground. I've made an entire video for this page, where I explain how I choose the colors for the wreck and the sharks, and why our brains sometimes play tricks on us when perceiving colors underwater. You can see the video for this page here. For this page, I again used watercolors made from felt tip pens as a base and then colored on top with Castle Art soft touch pencils, along with some gel pens, both glitter, metallic, and a white gel pen for all the bubbles. For this small motif next to it, I used the Castle Arts gold pencils. And for the background, I used the Castle Arts watercolor pencils. And again, some glitter gel pens along with a white gel pen. That was Magische Meerjungfrauen by Christel Vogel. Now, moving on to a book I'm not really eager to showcase. Verzauberte Zuflucht. This book is AI generated, which is why I cannot recommend it. However, since I own it, I occasionally color in it. Last month, I worked on 3 pages. 2 turned out somewhat better, the other less so. Let's start with the last page, which was the first one completed. I wanted all 3 pages to have a bit of a Halloween vibe. On this page, I turned spider webs and dewdrops into green toxic slime. However, it didn't quite achieve the spooky effect I was aiming for. I also tried adding some fog, but it didn't look good, so I colored over it again. Overall, I primed the page with alcohol markers from Avec, and then colored with Castle Art soft touch pencils on top. I also used green glitter and neon gel pens. For the background, I applied soft pastels. Generally speaking, I think the page is still okay, aside from the AI-generated flaws. The second page also turned out quite okay, ignoring some AI errors, like a rope placed in the middle of a swing or the pumpkin with corn-like texture. But if you don't look too closely, I think it looks fine. Again, I started with alcohol markers for the base and used Castle Art soft touch pencils to color on top. And for the background, I applied soft pastels using my self-made cloud stencils. For the waterfall, I added highlights with a white gel pen. And now we come to the page that is the most detailed and therefore also has the most AI errors. You could almost say it consists only of AI errors. Specifically this one here. And I really don't like how it turned out. I had a reference image with a moon, which I painted here, and a backlighting situation where all the trees were purple pink. In the reference it looks really good, but unfortunately my version does not. The issue is also that, especially here and in the lower area, there are just random lines that don't make any sense. As you can see here, these mushrooms, there are maybe a few that look somewhat realistic, but most of them really don't. The plants here somehow have two beginnings of leaves, but no end. The trees partially don't have trunks that reach the ground. Some have shading, some don't. You can't even tell what this is supposed to be. I then somehow tried to color over it, to bring some form into it. Also on the building, this staircase here doesn't really make sense. And this outside staircase is just there without any purpose. And the floating lamps. Well, the only thing that somehow looks good is the path, because for once it doesn't contain any errors, so I was able to color it well. My conclusion is that I probably won't color such detailed pages with so many AI errors in the future in this book. I just pick the ones that are somewhat okay, where it's not so noticeable. At some point, I simply had no motivation left to try to cover all these errors somehow. It's really annoying that there are so many books on the market that are AI generated and so poorly done without any requirement for labeling them as such. I'm wiser now, but I believe there are many people who at the beginning buy such a book like me, thinking, hey, the cover looks great. And as I said, in most cases, it doesn't say anywhere that it's AI generated. And then inside there are so many errors. Okay, that was Verzauberte Zuflucht. Now we are moving on positively with wonderful books by talented illustrators. Next up is Enchanted Earth by Melpomene Chatzi Panagiotou. In this book I completed 2 pages. The first one is the fireplace here. This page is another body color with Selena Moonlight from Instagram. I started this page as part of my autumn challenge, using Castle Art soft touch pencils. Later I primed some of the green areas with Castle Art's watercolor pencils and colored over them again with soft touch pencils. I also used the watercolor pencils for the paint splatter effect in the background. For highlights, I used a white gel pen up here on the clouds and the sun, as well as some colored gel pens and a gold gel pen for all the dots scattered through the background, and on the cats. And here on the fireplace for the details. I show you Selena's version now. Her version turned out fantastic again. She did an amazing job. I love how realistic her fireplace looks, and how the colors from the fire reflect beautifully in the sky. Then I worked on a second page in this book, which I also started during the autumn challenge. It's the one with the candles. I partially primed this page with Castle Arts watercolor pencils and colored over them with the soft touch pencils. For the background I used soft pastels again, and for all the glitter dots around the candles I used the golden hybrid gel pen from Pentel. I really love these autumn colors. This was Enchanted Earth by Melpomene Chatzipanagiotou. Next up is A Million Little Monsters by Lulu Mayo. In this book I colored my first true Halloween-themed page. This adorable pumpkin house with all the little characters coming out from it, each carrying their tiny pumpkin baskets for collecting sweets. Again, I used Castle Arts watercolor pencils as a base and colored over them with the soft touch pencils. For the finer details, like the horns and teeth, I added metallic gel pens. And I used a white gel pen for all the highlights in the eyes. This page is also a body color with Selena Moonlight, our third this month. I show you her version here. I really love how she colored the little Dracula character. Initially, I also thought the figure looked like Dracula, but I ended up coloring it differently. Overall, her page looks fantastic. Okay, that was A Million Little Monsters by Lulu Mayo. Now on to our fourth body color this month from Seasons by Hannah Carlson. We worked on another Halloween page featuring a witch with her cat on a curved broomstick. For the background I used my water-soluble Jackson crayons. To color the rest I used the Castle Art soft touch pencils, and some elements I primed with the watercolor pencils. And again I also added touches of gold and white gel pen. Here's Selena's version of the page. Once again, she did an amazing job. Her page looks absolutely stunning. I especially love how she used granulating watercolors in the background, which now makes me eager to try them myself. The only issue is that I don't own any yet. Okay, that was Seasons by Hannah Carlson. Finally, we come to the last page I colored from Meine Reise durch Asien by Rita Beermann. I showed this page in my last video about my November plans. However, I had some time at the end of October and colored it. It features cranes and is in the Russia section of the book. After doing some research, I discovered Siberian cranes exist, so I colored them accordingly, with the slightly red head and the black on the wings. I choose a very limited color palette for this page, but really like how it turned out. I used the Castle Arts Gold to color the page and soft pastels for the background. My plan is to use the same colors around the Matrushka doll in this section, but make the doll itself a bit more colorful. Okay, that was Meine Reise durch Asien by Rita Beermann. These are all my completed pages from October 2025. Let me know in the comments which page was your favorite. Mine was definitely the page in Seasons, the candles in Enchanted Earth, and the heron in Mystic Animals. I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye and see you next time.